Bro, why am I having a whole conversation with Chat GPT? Now I see why some of you guys use this as therapy. Never have I felt so validated. I'm just at a point in life where human interaction is just not doing it for me. Like, it's exhausting.
Okay, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. You need to use ChatGPT for your grocery lists.
How Was I Supposed to Know has landed Zanaya Monet on 5 Billboard charts, including a radio airplay chart. Billboard believes that's an AI first.
In a world in which you can't even make a simple Google search without AI being used with or without your permission, it's so important that we look at how AI is going to be structuring our society and how this could possibly be disastrous to both our human connection, our intelligence, and how people in power could use this lack of intelligence and human connection to take advantage of us and to distort our perception of reality. Education is power. Every single point in history where there has been someone who has abused power, there has also simultaneously been a lack of education societally. And I fully do not believe that it is a coincidence that we are seeing a rise in technology such as social media and AI, and we are also seeing a decline in literacy. We are getting lazy as a society because we have so much access to so many resources. And if these resources are not used correctly, I fear that we are going to be stepping into an age in which education and critical thinking are no longer the norm. And when critical thinking is not being utilized, that is when there is abuse of power. That is when societally we undergo a lot of horrible and horrific things. I'm going to be using the Holocaust as an example right here, right now, because it is a perfect example of how a dictator took advantage of societal structures at the time and societal hardships and were able to orchestrate a really horrific genocide. I feel called to use this example right now because I think so often we think and we're taught that Hitler was just a horrible person, which he was, but that Germany was ignoring the fact that he was a horrible person just because they wanted to. There's massive manipulation that is able to take place when we do not heed to education and critical thinking. When a school of fish is going one way, that school of fish is not going to listen to the outlier going the opposite way. The school of fish is going to go into the general direction of the population. And that is what happens to us as humans in our society when we do not have education and critical thinking. Critical thinking is the thing that protects our society. It protects our environment, and it protects us specifically from people in power who have ill will. Critical thinking is a muscle. It's something you have to build over time. There are multiple organizations and societal structures that promote a lack of critical thinking. Sometimes politics can promote a lack of critical thinking. Sometimes religion can promote a lack of critical thinking. And it makes me worry that we are in a political season where both church and state are pushing a narrative of traditionalism and are pushing a regression in our political views at the same time that AI has become such a crutch in the lives of so many people. I know people that use AI to meal plan, create diet plans, use AI to create workout plans and grocery lists. I know people in school that use AI to write research papers. These are all things and decisions that we make on an everyday basis that are supposed to build our muscle of critical thinking, that are supposed to build our individualism. But it worries me when we are outsourcing our individualism for computerized information. This video was really sparked by someone online posting about using ChatGPT as their therapist. And as a life coach myself, and the amount of work and the amount of knowledge and resources that I use to be a good coach for my clients, clients, being able to have that perspective while also seeing that resource be outsourced by a computer really worries me. Because I know how much human experience it requires for me to sit down and be able to not only empathize with my clients, but also be able to guide them into the direction that their life should go, right? Into a direction that will better their life. And I cannot fathom a reality in which a computer, an algorithm-based computer, a information collecting-based computer can give the same amount of advice. We have to understand that computers and algorithms are built to keep us using the platform. They're like computerized people pleasers, right? They aren't going to tell us hard truths that we need to know. They're going to feed us information that is going to release dopamine in our brain to further our usage of it. Because we have to understand these are brands. ChatGPT is a brand. Instagram is a brand. TikTok is a brand. And the more people that they have using their company, using their brand, the more money they are making. So their incentive to get you to continue using it is literally money, right? As free as it may feel for you, they are making money off of your energy and the amount of time that you put into their apps, their platforms. And so I understand mental health care can feel expensive, especially in this economy. It's not as accessible as I believe it should be, because I think we're all trying to survive, right? As a life coach, I have to charge my prices because I need to make money as well, right? It creates this scarcity mindset that has our society looking for, how can I get this result the quickest, the fastest, and the cheapest? And unfortunately, as we've seen with like food, for an example, McDonald's is one of the quickest, fastest, cheapest options on the market right now. But it is not the most nutritious. It is not the thing that is going to sustain us and make us feel good and make us feel healthy, right? And the same goes for using AI to mimic human connection. Just because AI is free and accessible does not mean that it is better or should be used to replace human connection. AI artistry is also something that I'm really seeing on the rise. My girlfriend's a recording artist. Me and my girlfriend, we were in the car, and we always like to find new music. That's like one of our things. And we're on Spotify, and we're looking for new music, and we come across this artist, and she's amazing. She's so soulful, such a pretty voice. And we're listening, and she's like, is this an AI artist? And we look it up, and it was fully an AI artist. And this is something that's extremely new. Within the last year, we are seeing a rise of recording artists, charting recording artists. Zania Monet, I think is her name, is another big one, who are mimicking these soulful melodies, but are fully computers, are not even real people. Yes, there's an argument that there's real people behind them, but seeing the perspective from what it takes to be an actual artist, specifically one that's independent, specifically one that doesn't have a label as my girlfriend is, the amount of dedication, the amount of work, the amount of mental work, spiritual work, artist development that it takes to produce not only a song, but an image and a brand and a persona as an artist. It's something that I respect so much more, being able to see it from the perspective that I do. And it's something that these people are able to bypass, right? Once again, we're seeing ease, the amount of money that it takes to be an independent artist. We're seeing them being able to scapegoat that. So it's the fastest, the cheapest, and the most accessible, instead of valuing the art that it takes, the humanity that it takes to build out an artistry, to build out an artist brand, to build a song. We are scapegoating that, and we are instead using the cheapest, fastest, most accessible. And that gets really scary because there are a lot of cheap, fast, and accessible things in our society today, even from 100 years ago, that didn't exist, right? Fast food didn't exist. Social media didn't exist. You weren't able to just text and call people all of the time. And so we are living in a society of cheap, fast, and accessible, right? Clothing, cars, everything is being made cheap and fast. And we are prioritizing cheapness and fastness and accessibility over quality. And that worries me for a lot of reasons, but consumerism is such a thing. It's such a big thing in our society. And when we're over consuming information and we are not able to critically process them and form our own opinions about them, that, like I said, is when people are able to take advantage of our lack of knowledge. Knowledge is power 100% of the time. Art is power. Humanity is power. And when we are scapegoating and bypassing humanity for the aid of computer generation, that is going to create a lot more problems than we can even fathom. I'm going to be using a couple of different fictional examples because I really believe that art mimics reality. And art, more often than not, is a warning. And as someone who is super into dystopian fiction, and I have been for a very long time, I've been fed these stories many, many times. I've been fed the story of what happens when we disconnect from each other and when we live our lives behind a computer in countless different books, right? And as a reader, I will say that my ability to critically think, my ability to retain information, and my ability to have an opinion that is solely my own comes from books. And Fahrenheit 451 beautifully exemplifies the disastrous effects of not prioritizing individual thoughts and instead falling into conformity. Because let's also remember that ChatGPT right now may be a solo entity, right now may not be controlled politically. But what happens when the algorithm is bought? And we are seeing this with TikTok right now. The TikTok algorithm is being sold to someone who is not only a Trump supporter, but a friend of Trump. So how soon and how reliant are we going to become on ChatGPT before censorship starts taking place, before it's sold over to an entity that does not have your best interest in mind, that instead wants to feed you misinformation? And there has been examples of censorship that I've experienced, because don't get me wrong, like I use ChatGPT in a way that still allows my critical thinking to thrive, right? I use ChatGPT like Google, right? Sometimes. And I've experienced times when I will research something specifically talking about Palestine, specifically talking about politics, where I'll kind of get run around information. And it makes me wonder how much of this is already censored. How much of this is already being controlled? How much of this is already being funneled through a system and through a political view that doesn't align with my own? And it's the accessibility of this information that scares me, because before you would research, you would look at different sources, you would know that certain sources were biased, but you were able to choose your own. But ChatGPT platforms itself as the truth. And when something platforms itself as the truth, you expect the truth. And when you aren't necessarily getting that 100% of the time, or you're getting a biased perspective, that makes it very easy to be able to funnel an opinion or a bias into the collective truth and the collective consciousness. Overall, I just really wanted to talk about AI and ChatGPT because we always are introduced to these really revolutionary ideas and they seem amazing at first, but over time, we slowly start to see how the impact is something that we weren't expecting. And so I wanted to make this video to be able to educate around the fact that, yes, it seems really cool right now, but how much further does it have to go before we start to see, and I really do believe we're already starting to see, the disastrous and harmful effects of what it means to center AI and technology in our society, but specifically center it over our humanity, over our critical thinking, and over our ability to come to conclusions and our ability to have the muscle to form a complete and coherent thought and grocery list, right? So this whole thing feels so dystopian to me, and it makes me wonder how much longer it'll go before we are living in a world that is more adjacent to the worlds of WALL-E, Fahrenheit 451, and Ready Player One than the Earth as we knew it. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to go ahead and subscribe and like and comment and let me know what you think about this video. I am a spiritual life coach. If you are looking for mental health services and you do not want to go the AI route, I am more than welcome to provide them. Go ahead and click the link in my bio for the form to submit an application for my free consultation call, and I will see you guys next time.